Shalom, everybody. It is time to bring down further light and hasten the redemption, revealing the divine in everyone and everything. In today's video, we'll make another major move towards the redemption, Tikkun Haolam, and world peace. Let us bring the lights of the Arizal out of their mystery of obscurity and reveal them for the first time before the lights of all. Entering in to Book 2 of Eitz Chaim. We find here on page 392 that it says the following: "And know that there are 6, 2 females in Kedusha, Rachel, which is called Malkut, and is found attached to the Yesod of Zerainpin, and also above her, attached to Da'as of Zerainpin, is found Leah. She is built from the Malkuth of Bina." So let us understand, what exactly does this mean, and how can we come to make sense of this? What is this Partsufim of Leah? What is this Partsufim of Rachel? And why is the Arizal saying that Leah is made from the Malkuth of Bina? How could this possibly be practical? But for the first time, it will be revealed here, and let it be redeemed, and let it be redeemed today. Now we learned that Rachel was connected to the Yesod of Zerainpin, and Leah was connected to the Da'as of Zerainpin. The Arizal mentioned that Leah was created from the Malkuth of Bina. This is because, as it has been made known to you all, the Netzach, Hod, and Yesod of Ima create the Chokmah Bina Da'as of Zerainpin. It should be noted that Malkuth is always attached to Yesod, as it is revealed in the Zohar. They are in the same chamber. This being said, when the Chokmah Bina Da'as of Zerainpin is formed by the Netzach, Hod, and Yesod of Ima, it causes the Malkuth that is inside of that Yesod to emerge outside of the Partsufim of Zerainpin. This is because Malkuth is a completely feminine Partsuf, and Zerainpin is masculine. Therefore, it is only able to take from the aspects of her Netzach, Hod, Yesod, which are aspects of her Zerainpin, but not the Nukva. Malkuth thus emerges outside of Zerainpin via his Da'at and forms 10 Sfirot here, which are called Leah. Thus the Arizal says that Leah is formed from the Malkuth of Bina. Rachel comes from the Yesod of Abba, as it is known, the Netzach, Hod, Yesod of Ima, contained inside of it the Netzach, Hod, Yesod of Abba, and this emerges from the Tiferet of Zerainpin, which forms the Partsuf called Rachel, whose height is Tiferes to Yesod. Up to this point, one should be relatively confused. How could we possibly make sense of this, and how does this apply to our day-to-day life? Well, let us enter into that mystery in particular. Now, it is written, man is a tree, and man is the Partsufim of Zerampin. Thus, this is the secret of our body. We find thus that the da'as of our body corresponds to the lungs. It is precisely here that the Partsufim called Leah, or the Malkuth of Bina, emerges. Now, Malkuth is called Et, an example, the 22 letters. So what does this teach us? Just as Leah emerges from the outside of the Partsufim of Zerampin, this too is the exact location of the emergence of the 22 letters from our lungs. Our lungs are in the secret of Da'as, and Leah, an example Et that emerges from this place, is the secret of the 22 letters, for Malchus is called Et. Thus communication is emanated from this exact location. An example, Leah emerges outside of the body. An example, the 22 letters emerge from the outside of our body via the lungs. Now Leah, which is the Malkuth of Bina, is hinted at in even the letters. For Leah are the first 3 letters of Elohim, and Bina is for the purpose of understanding. Bina means understanding, just like Tavuna. Thus, this teaches us that the 22 letters, which are the secret of Malkuth, the secret of Leah, the secret of the Malkuth of Bina, emerge from the Da'as, an example, the lungs of our body, for the explicit purpose of communication. Consider how wondrous this thing being told to you is. Again, consider how the Partsufim of Leah, which is the Malkuth of Bina, emerges specifically from the Da'as of Zerampin. Consider how on our body this corresponds to our lungs, and consider how Malkuth, which is the 22 letters, emanates and emerges outside of our body for the purpose of communication. Bina means understanding. Okay, let us go into the secret of Rachel. Now the Yisod of Abba connects to the Tifreth of Zerampin, and this is the location where the Malkuth associated with Abba in the secret of the Partsufim of Rachel emerges. Rachel thus means sheep, and sheep is the color white, hinting to the whiteness of Chokmah. Now, the height of Rachel is from Tifreth to Yisod, as it was made known. Thus, the 22 letters in this place hint to something living, for it is written, wisdom gives life to its possessor. And because Rachel is the secret of the Malkuth of Chokmah, we find it in the secret of something living. Thus we find the height of the womb is in this exact location. And the 22 letters, which are the backs and fronts of the Sfirot, take on the personification of the supernal form. An example, the tree of the face and the tree of the body, and it was made known that there is a tree of the face in the Keter of the tree of the body. So we find that our form, which is something living, is in this exact sequence. The quick and general understanding is that when we follow the progression Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tes, Yud, Kaf, it continues Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Fe, Tzadi, Kof, Resh, and Tav. The connection that needs to be analyzed is a connection from Kaf, which is the front of Malchus, to the backside of Keter or Lamed. This teaches us that this entire tree of the fronts is in this one Sfirot of the tree of the backside. An example, this tree relates to the human body, and this tree called fronts hints to the face. The word pani also means face. So we find that we have a tree of the face in the Keter, or the head of the tree of the body. For example, the brain, the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth, etc. And this entire tree is located in this one Sfirot. An example in the Keter in relation to the body. Returning to our Partsufim of Rachel, we find that the 22 letters take the supernal form, a tree of the face, in the Keter, the tree of the body, and that is in the secret of something living. in this case, the secret of a baby, we find that the height of Rachel's Partuv is this exact location, Tifreth to Yisod. We find that is in the secret of something living, and indeed it too will emerge from this location, an example, the Yisod. Thus consider how wondrous it is to see the secret of the Malkuth of Ima emerging from Da'as and the Malkuth of Abba emerging in the secret of Tiferet. Consider the great wonder that is the Partufim of Leah and the Partufim of Rachel. Consider how Leah emanates out of the body of Zerampin, and this is the Malkuth of Bina, or Et, or the 22 letters. And consider how the 22 letters emanate out from our lungs for the purpose of communication. Consider how the Malkuth of Abba, which is the secret of something living, is in the secret of Rachel, a baby. And consider how it too emerges from Yisod, an example of the body. Now I will reveal another matter. Know and understand that Malkuth is found in every place in the center column. It is written to dash your foot upon a stone and a heart of stone, and he placed a stone under his head, etc. We thus find that Malkuth, which is called Ani, Saruft is Ain, because Malkuth ascends all the way up to the endless. This is what is written, I will lift up your name, an example Malkuth, above the heavens, O Elohim, etc. Thus we find that Malkuth is in the secret of the center column. Let us see how this is. We find Malkuth in the emergence. We find Malkuth in the secret of Yisod, an example birth, where the baby, which is the secret of a form by the 22 letters, is birthed. We find it in the secret of Tiferes, which is the secret of the baby when it's on the inside of the body. An example in pregnancy, the secret of life, the secret of the Malkuth of Abba. Consider it in Da'as, where it emanates outward, the 22 letters, an example for the purpose of speech and communication. Now it is also concealed inside of Keter. Keter is our head, and behold, notice how our thoughts are in the secret of the 22 letters, but our thoughts are concealed and do not emanate on the outside like Leah does. Thus consider how Malkuth ascends up the center column. Consider the 22 letters that are concealed in Keter, an example, our brain, our thoughts, our mind. Consider how it emerges out of Da'as in the secret of the Leah, Partsuf, which is the Malkuth of Ima, the 22 letters emanating from the lungs outside of the body for the purpose of communication. Consider the secret of the baby, etc. How wondrous these things are. Now these mysteries that I am revealing to you were revealed to me in the heavenly yeshiva with my discourses, specifically with the Arizal, and he clarified and made known all of these wondrous matters and things that are even far beyond this. The purpose of revealing it now is to remove the complexities of the Lurianic Kabbalah and reveal and redeem its lights. Atzilus is the level of sight, and it is written, I will give to you the land I will show you. So let us behold what we have never seen before, and let us hear what we have never heard before. May the upper worlds be seen here in this reality now. Let us enter into another supernal mystery. What was the purpose of mentioning that the Netzach Hod Yisod of Ima is the place where the Chokmah Bina Da'as of Zerampin is developed? Consider the three phases, Ibur, Yanuka, and Godless. When Zerampin was in the level of Ibur, it was in the Netzach Hod Yisod of the mother. This was the stage called pregnancy. Next it goes to Yanuka, where it obtains Chesed Gavur Tifres, and then Godless, where it obtains the level called Moken, Keter, Chokmah, Bina. This teaches us that pregnancy is in between the Netzach Hod and Yisod. An example, this is where the Chokmah Bina Da'as of the baby's brains are developed. Everything in Ima goes by the name Elohim. And thus Elohim, which has a numerical value of 86, hints to 86 days. Therefore, there are 86 days for the lights of Netzach, 86 for the light of Hod, and 86 for the light of Yisod. 86 days is roughly 3 months. An example, 3 months for Netzach, 3 months for Hod, and 3 months for Yesod. Collectively, these are 9 months of pregnancy. When all of these lights have entered into the brains of the baby, it is birthed. Immediately, the baby is then elevated to the mother's Chesed Gevurah Tiferes. Consider how the baby immediately is placed on its mother's chest. And what emerges at this time? At this time, when the baby is born, an example, when it receives the lights of Netzach Hod Yesod of Ima, which form the Chokmah Bina Das, or the brains of the baby, the Partsuf Leah must emerge. The Partsuf Leah is exactly why a baby screams. It yells at birth as soon as it is born, because this is the Partsufim Leah emerging from the baby's own Das. It is then elevated to its mother's chest. An example, it must breastfeed to draw down the lights of her Chesed and Gevurah. These two also have the name Elohim, and there are 3 months for each, and so there are 6 months of direct breastfeeding, a minimum of. And at this time, immediately, the first thing developed as the baby breastfeeds from its mother's Chesed and Gevurah are the baby's own hands, which are the baby's Chesed and Gevurah. And the baby's Chesed and Gevurah, which are its own hands, begin to draw out the lights, an example, the milk, from its mother's Chesed and Gevurah. It will continue to do this for 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18 months. We find that the level of the legs are at Netzach and Hod, so 3, 6, 9, and then we find 12 and 15. It is specifically between the 12th month, an example, 1 year, and 15 months, an example, shortly before 1.5 years, that the baby then begins to walk. This walking occurs because just as the lights were drawn down from her Chesed and Gevurah first, which strengthened the baby's own Chesed and Gevurah, it then continues to draw its mother's lights until it strengthens its own legs. And so the correction of the baby is in direct relation with the light of its mother. At this stage, it's drawn down Yanuka, which means suckling. And from this point forward, the baby no longer needs to suckle from its mother's light anymore at the state of Yanuka, because it enters into Godlos. As it is seen here, during pregnancy, lifted to its mother's breast to draw milk, in which it strengthens its own Chesed and Gevurah, an example, its hands, in direct relation with the lights being extracted from that location. It then, after a period of 18 months, draws down and is able to walk by all of the lights from this place. Then, it no longer needs to draw the light from its mother from this level, but now begins to speak to her, meaning speak to her mentalities, meaning the baby was first located in Ibor. It suckled during Yanuka. It developed its hands and its legs, and now it no longer needs to draw lights from these lower, and begins to speak to its mother, to draw down the lights of her mind, the lights of communication, and it grows in this aspect. Now, there are many more wondrous things that can be spoken of regarding this matter. Perhaps in a future video, I will reveal the deeper levels into these aspects of these lights, but consider very carefully the great wonders that are being revealed to you all. The great beautiful program, the system that the Holy One, blessed be He, has created for us. The beauty of His Torah, the great depth and complexity of the Lurianic Kabbalah, which for the first time ever is being simplified and made accessible to you all who watch this video. Let us usher in world peace. Let us behold the divine in everything. Awaken, O dreamer. Shalom, Selah.